Hello lovelies and welcome back to my channel. Today it's time for the March wrap up. Today we're going to be going over all the books I have read over March, as well as the books I'm planning to read, how I feel about the books after I've read them and it's been some time, and on top of that how I rank the books out of the month. But first off, let's get the books that I've read this month out of their shelf. So book number 1 I read this month was The Mistake by Elle Kennedy. Simple hockey romance, kind of wasn't very stand out for me. I do love that it was a second chance for romance, but not in the way of they had a whole pre-established relationship and it went wrong. It's a second chance romance. They kind of had a fling, but they didn't commit to it, and now they're retrying it kind of situation. And it was kind of like neither of them were in the fully right place for it when they last were hanging out, and it was kind of, just read the book. It's not memorable enough for me to explain it in detail, but I can say I did enjoy this book. Second read of the month was, yet again, another Elle Kennedy book, The Chase. The Chase was a lot more memorable for me because it features one of my favourite tropes, which is forced proximity. Basically, the two main love interests are forced to live together because they're roommates. The kind of miscommunication. I love miscommunication in books because if it's done correctly, you can see, oh, yeah, I see how this happens. This would happen in real life. And I love this because the way it happens in this book, it's like, yeah, I understand and I see how all of these things could have happened in the plot. And like, it genuinely makes sense for the characters and how they worked. Then following that book, if you couldn't guess, well yes, it's another Elle Kennedy book, and it's The Risk. This book was less standout than the first one, but I feel like at this point I had read 3 hockey romances back to back and they were all kind of blurring together. This one features the best friend from the previous book. It's rivals to lovers, forbidden romance kind of vibes, but they're making it forbidden themselves kind of levels. Like, they are half fake dating, half dating in secret. I kind of enjoyed this, but at the same time, it wasn't as memorable as the other book because you could see where the different plot points were coming. Wow, the sun just came out. But anyway, you could see where the different plot points were going to go because of the previous book, and it already set up the foundations in The Chase for what was going to happen in their relationship, basically. But anyway, and on to the final book I read in March. My Dark Desire by L.J. Sheen and Parker S. Huntington. This was my favourite read of the month. I can confidently say this. I think it's because it's so different from the other books I've read, but also I love a dark romance. I am a dark romance girly. I love it. But also on top of that, I love the style this was written in. It's a reinterpretation. I love how they incorporated the original themes into this book. And I kind of just like this book because I'm just like, it doesn't take the traditional dark romance path of, I'm Mafia Man. I have bought this woman. This woman is now mine. Here's our relationship. Or, murder, kill, ha ha ha. This was like complex character points and actually went into explaining why they have trauma and why they act this way and explaining their character motivations, and actually had deep and compelling characters that I really enjoyed reading. And I'm waiting for Oliver's book to come out. This is book 2 in the My Dark Prince series, and I know some people don't like it, which I get. It is littered with pop culture references, and it is a chick flick if anything else. But I like this, and I want to see Oliver in the next book. You know why? Because Oliver reminds me of Logan Huntsberger before he got with Rory, and I'm waiting for him to find his Rory, okay? Even though Oliver isn't a great character, he's not even the main character in any books, he's just a side character, and he's just unhinged. And I like how he's just a different pace to everyone else, because a lot of the men in the book are very serious, stoic men. It's just like, I'm reserved, I need no one. And Oliver's just like, woo, party! He reminds me of King Charles II from the Horrible History song, the king who brought back partying. If you know, you know. If you don't, you should go watch it. But anyway, I really enjoyed this book. If you couldn't tell, it's my most memorable read of the month. But anyway, it is time to rank them. In last place, we have The Risk. I did really enjoy the characters, I enjoyed the book, just compared to the others, it's not as memorable as the other ones. So back to the shelf you go. Next up, The Mistake. Yet again, not as memorable as the other books, but I don't know if that's down to the fact that I read it at the very beginning of the month, or to the fact that I kind of liked it, but also not one of my favourite tropes, and there's already a hockey romance book in there that was one of my favourite tropes. So, third place goes to The Mistake. And then in second place, we have The Chase, also by Elle Kennedy. a lot more memorable out of the other two hockey romances. I really like this, but it is not as memorable as My Dark Desire. If you're going to tell, I really love that book, okay? I have a problem, I know. But anyway, second place, The Chase. Also, how are we liking the bookshelf? I love it personally because I built it by hand, and it's actually allowing me to pull books out, and I'm not having to dig through piles that are about hip height on my floor trying to find a book anymore, which is great for me. But anyway, and in first place, My Dark Desire by L.J. Sheen and Parker S. Huntington. I love this book. It is my favourite read. I would recommend it. It is chock full of pop culture references. There is no need for hashtags in the book, especially if the hashtag is referring to an Outer Banks series. Just remember, if you're referencing a series that is currently coming out in a book, is going to get dated very, very fast. So would not recommend putting hashtags in books, especially to pop culture references that will go and come very, very fast, especially when it's to do with a TV show. But anyway, also, there's a scene in here that is heavily inspired by the vampire scene in Saltburn, but unhygienic. That is the best way I can describe the scene, and I'm mentioning this because it feels very out of pocket for the book in general with the characters and how they are. I feel like it was just very heavily influenced, and then from there they just kind of ran with it a bit, and it just feels very out of pocket for the characters, but also I can see how it fits in a little bit. But I just thought I'd mention it because it is a bit of an out of pocket scene, and not everyone is comfortable with said scenes that are like it. Anyway, that wraps up all the books I read in March, and now let's get into the books I'm wanting to read over April. To start it off, let's go over the book I'm currently reading, which is Reaping on the Sunrise by Susan Collins. I'm on chapter 8. I'm struggling because I want to read and cry, and I can't read whilst crying because my eyes are blurry. You know, logic. And PSA to the people who made all the snow thirst traps, yes, I'm talking to you. We all know you probably did. You are the reason for my pain. I can't remember where, but I've heard that apparently with every thirst trap Susan Collins saw online, she made Hamish's experience exponentially worse through the actions of Snow. And I blame you lot. I really do. I blame you lot so much because you're making my pain so much worse to the point where I'm struggling to get through this book. And if that is true, my tears are because of you lot, okay? I hope you understand that. And also, I feel like I want another book. I just want more of the Hunger Games universe, but I want to know... I don't want Phoenix book because this book is breaking me, and if I had Phoenix, I would break. Because I physically don't think I could handle knowing exactly what the Capitol does to Phoenix. I'd love to see Peter's, especially Peter when he is in, when Catching Fire and the Mockingjay is happening, because I'd love to see what went on his side and what was going through his brain. Kind of like Twilight and Midnight Sun kind of vibes, except from less talkative because Edward talks. My roommate is currently reading it and she's just like, he just talks. He talks so much. In the original book, I would be halfway done with the book now. I'm not. I'm still on the first quarter and I'm just like, yeah, that man really likes to talk. But anyway, I'm looking forward to reading this. I need to read chapter 8 so then I can get to 9 so then me and my friend can have a debrief on what we've read so far because we're reading it together at the minute. But anyway, Sunrise on the Reaping by Susan Collins. Next up, we have The Hope in Darkness. Oh, my TBR. The past 2 videos, I have attempted to say this man's name. I have attempted and failed each time. And I think it's purely down to the fact that I don't know anyone with similar names, so I don't know where I'm pulling from my reference. And when I put it in the audio translator that I have on my laptop, it came out with the way I was saying it, which was wrong. So he reached out to me and ever so kindly offered, would you like me to send you a clip of how to say my name? And I was like, yes, please. I really want to say your name correctly because I feel so bad. So he ever so kindly sent it to me, and his name is Jer McCormack. And just to double check, I've pronounced this right, I'm going to play the clip.
Jer McCormack. It's Texan.
There we go. So Jer McCormack, he kindly sent me the book. I'm really excited to read this. I don't know when I'm going to be reading it, hopefully very soon. Just depends if I'm going to go straight into fantasy or if I'm going into romance, but I'm leaning towards fantasy. But now let's get into my lovely shelf on which books I have a feeling I might want to read over this next month. Starting off strong, I think I'm going to veer away from down here because I've been reading a lot from this area and we have this entire expanse of shelves. And you know what I'm feeling this month? I'm feeling fake dating. I love fake dating. One of my favourite tropes, honestly. I love it, especially when it's done correctly, because I love the accidental circumstances, how they fall in love because they realise, oh, we're compatible as a couple. Personally, I'd love to fake date someone than actually real date someone, because then I could do my trial period of I need to know someone for 3 months before I can even view them romantically. So fake dating would actually work out in my favour, because they could be just like, I like this person, and I could be like, so this is what a relationship with them would be like, and it would be like a test run for me. That's why I probably like it so much. But anyway, I'm thinking, I kind of am intrigued by How to Fake It in Hollywood. I just really like the cover of this book. It's just really pretty. And I'm thinking maybe How to Fake It in Hollywood by Ava Wilder. Potentially. I've got 2 unread Elle Hazelwood books. I really like her books. I need to get her newest one that's out as well, but I've been putting that off until I've read these 2. I'm kind of wanting to read it, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm in the mood for her books at the minute. I normally read her books whenever I'm on an academic break, so I might read them over Easter. Then we also have my new Tara Jewett book that I bought recently, which is Savour It. I do love her writing, and I do love her books. Also, yet again, such a pretty cover. If you couldn't tell, there's a bit of a common theme of covers I like at the minute, if you can see the similarities. But I think this is a good contender for what book I might read over the month. Also, what books are you thinking of reading this month? Do you have any suggestions or recommendations that you're feeling like reading? Then I'm thinking I might go from the dark section, or maybe from my witchcraft section, because I have a couple, and like I'm leaning towards, do I just go ultimate, this is so going to be a chick flick and I'm going to be surprised if it's not a chick flick kind of book, which is Hot Hex Boyfriend. I expect there to be a hot hex boyfriend in here. Same levels as Disney's Build a Boyfriend, kind of. Build a Boy, if you've watched that film, I believe it's called. This one's by Carly Bloom. Apparently it's a rom-com. I do love my rom-coms. It is one of my favourite. I'm thinking this could be a good contender. Or do I go dark and go with Hooked? Personally, Peter Pan is one of my favourite stories of all time. If it has something to do with Peter Pan, I've watched it, read it, or seen it. I had the Pixie Hollow game because Tinkerbell was in it, and Tinkerbell was Peter Pan's sidekick. I know so much. I just love Peter Pan. I used to read lore about it when I was younger. I just love Peter Pan in general, like the stories, the myths. I've seen the plays, I've seen the films. I have problems, I know, but I love Peter Pan, so I feel like I would really enjoy this book. But it deviates a lot from the original. It's kind of inspired. It's not retelling like My Dark Desire. This is more inspired by the original thing. And I love it, the fact that in each of these books they normally have a quote at the start from where they're referencing. Yeah. You can have anything in life if you will, sacrifice everything else for it. Which is Peter Pan, obviously. Which is saying you can have eternal youth if you sacrifice your entire everything you own kind of situation. Which doesn't seem like a great perk. I can't wait to be old. I can't wait to be old and people not expect things of me and to be active and spry. I can't wait to be old when people won't judge me for sitting at home in a chair and reading a book. Still get judged for that as well. Yeah, but you always talk about going out. I was like, yeah, I want to go out, but I also want to ignore you and ignore everyone's existence and sit in a book. But anyway. Now, we could always veer over more this way, because down here we have human connections and human experience that I really want to put into the romance category, but I'm not quite sure yet. Honestly, I'm so tempted just to number all of these and put them in a random number generator every now and again and just go, okay, my next read is going to be, and then wait for it to pop up that way. I honestly don't know what I want to read yet, and I feel like with the amount of uni work I've got coming up, I'm feeling either I'm going to be doing more short reads or one long read that I can read in my breaks prolonged over the month. Because we're going into the long stretch and then it's going to hit Easter and I'm just probably going to whack a bunch out in one go. But we will be changing filming locations because obviously I'm going home for Easter. But anyway, that's kind of the vibes I'm feeling like. I'm not quite sure. I feel like I'm also going to be booting back up my Kindle. I think on my Kindle I'm going to do a proper hunt for some, I think, academic, because I love the academic vibe. I think that's the reason I've been reading a lot of these books here, because they're all based within academia, and right above them is more academia. but I really love the academic vibe of learning and experience and growth. I just love character growth. It's one of my favourite things because I get to see the character and I get to understand why they do things. But I feel like I've said this in another video, but all like fantasy academia books I've read or found all have an overpowered main character and they don't use their powers, and it annoys me to high heavens. Or they've just been told, here, you will save the world. Cool. Me and my little sister were debating it the other day because I told her about it after I'd filmed the video, and she was like, yeah, I know, right? It's like they find this powerless girl and then after 2 weeks of training, she can defeat everyone. And I was like, yeah, right, I want a long training montage. I want a Rocky level montage, but in books. But also, Rocky was already a fighter. He just had to train a bit more. I need to find a better one. I want a Top Gun montage. I want a Top Gun montage where they take the recruits and train them to high heavens, like in Top Gun Maverick. And I want to see them train to high heavens until they can actually do the stuff. And then they were powerful. I want to see their struggle and grit. But I can't find a fantasy book that gives me the struggle and grit. I've tried, and it just annoys me. Or it's like the main character is overpowered but doesn't bother to learn or develop their skills on their own and powers on their own initiative. It's just like they wait for someone to tell them or instruct them how to do it. And it's like, if I was an overpowered person, I would be learning stuff. I'd love to see like chapters where she's just sat in, they or she or him are just sat in their room and they're like learning and connecting with their powers. That's my main gripe with Zodiac Academy. I'm just like, they don't actively go out and seek knowledge or how to better their control of their powers. They just wait for someone to tell them about it, or for their classes. I'm just like, you have a magical library at your disposal. Use it. Like, so many of those plot points that went wrong in the original and like the books could have been solved if they actually just learned how to use their powers. And like, not even like hard spells, because like their magic comes from just moving certain body parts in certain ways. So realistically, even if you didn't have much control, if you just went like that to someone, I tried to read, this is just a short PSA of, I tried to read the Zodiac Academy, I failed. I need a book that's like academic romance, maybe not romance fantasy, that actually has like good character growth and plot lines. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. That's kind of all I've got for you today. Not much has happened lately in terms of reading. I'm thinking I might go book shopping. I normally allow myself one good bookshop once a month, but sadly one of my favourite charity shops closed down near me, which I normally got a lot of my romance books from. Which is sad, which means I'm going to have to find a new place to get some of my secondhand books, because a lot of these books on my shelf are actually secondhand books. Anyway, that's all for today. If you like this video, maybe like, comment, say hi, tell me what you're reading at the minute, or what you think I should read next, because literally it is wide open. Also, if you like this video and would like to see more from me, maybe think about subscribing or just liking the video so you can find my videos again later on. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and go read.